have the opportunity to send it to everybody after. Awesome. So today, what are we talking about? Number one, modern business development. We're going to dive into what that really means, but a simple explanation is reframing and restructuring the way we drive revenue. And we all know why that's so important because if you are not driving revenue, you don't have a business, right? So let me introduce myself real quick for the people that don't know me. My name is Marc Nudelberg. I'm president of our firm On the Ball, which is a training and development company that focuses on sales, leadership, and marketing. I had a 14-year career as a college football coach. So if this meeting feels like a pregame meeting, or if you walk out of here ready to run through the tunnel and go tackle somebody, don't be alarmed. We get that response all the time from people, and I hope that it's a little pick me up on this Tuesday for you. As you can see down there in the bottom of the corner, that's the rest of the team. Proud to be in a family business that's led by my dad, Steve Nudelberg, my brother, Jake Nudelberg, and our adopted brother, Shay Money, who makes it all work. That's us philosophy wise, and something that is really important for you to understand as we go into this training is that it stems from a very simple acronym, RPD. And I can tell you from having coached and trained and taught players and professionals and business people and lead and salespeople, the best trainings are those that are engaging. So I'm going to do a quick little back and forth. And for those of you who think you know what the R is, I'm going to stop share for a second and go ahead and raise your hand or go ahead and unmute yourself. What does the R stand for in RPD? Somebody give me a guess. If not, I'll call on you.
Got to be revenue.
Debbie Hammer said research. Debbie, it's not research. That's a great answer. Sean, I think it was you that said revenue. It's not revenue, but it's a good guess, particularly since we're here. Relationships. Sharon Alexander, thank you for being a well-trained member of the On the Ball community. It is absolutely relationships, right? And now, if I were to ask you what the P might be, and now understand. This acronym is the foundation of all success. It's the foundation of everything good that happens to you in your life. So if you said relationships were number one, what would be a core principle to sustaining success for yourself? Sean said partnerships. That's a great guess, but that's not what it is. Anybody else?
Preparation.
What is it?
Preparation.
Preparation is a great answer, but also not at the foundation.
Passion.
People is a great answer. Passion is a great answer. It is process because anybody can find success one time. Anybody, right? In order to sustain success and in order to repeat success, you have to have a process. Now, it's key for us to understand the key to a process is that it's unconditional, meaning not requiring any other circumstances. Doesn't matter how I feel, doesn't matter what the weather is outside. It can be done unconditionally, anytime, anywhere, any place, right? And the other part is that it has to be repeatable. It has to be something that I can actually do over and over and over. If I can't do it more than once, meaning the resources expired or whatever it is, it's not a process. So as long as it's unconditional and repeatable, I'm able to do it over and over, and that should lead me to the results that I'm looking for. And oh, by the way, then you're able to focus on that instead of the results, which creates the D. Anybody want to guess what the D is? Duplicate, discipline. There we go. Discipline. I see some people chiming in now. Diligence is a good answer, Sean, but that was not it. Discipline is the key because discipline is born from consistency. And if you have consistency with your process, and assuming that process is built the right way from the right behaviors, you will have success. And so, what this training is really going to be focused on is giving you a process to develop relationships at scale that you can discipline yourself to, right? So, that's why it's so important for you to understand this acronym Because everything we're going to talk about today is going to be exactly that. Building relationships at scale, having a process to be able to do that, and then help giving you the discipline to be able to do it day after day. So all of us introduced ourselves as salespeople, people here that have been in sales and sales experience, right? But when we deal with organizations, we see two very different titles when we deal with people who are responsible for driving revenue. We have salespeople and we have business development people. But at the end of the day, they're all responsible for driving revenue. So, what is the difference between sales and business development? Lou Botko, you've been a part of our training for a while now. Can you tell me what the difference between sales and business development is?
For me, business development is developing something long term as
Hmm.
well as sales too, you know. But for me, I those two terms, it's like I'm sales every day. I'm at Publix, I'm sales. Picking up my daughter, I'm sales. You know what I mean?
Uh,
I'm always selling, you know, and that's why I get along with you guys so well, I feel. But
okay.
for me, sales is they're both long term. Um,
What would the difference be? Mike McCarney, you're new to the
yeah.
group. Go ahead and give me an answer. What's the difference between sales and business development?
I think for me, sales can be more transactional. Business development's about going deep, you know.
Bingo, right? So that is the key, right? Is that even it doesn't matter what role we're responsible for in driving revenue, right? Sales is about a transaction. Transaction has to happen, and those have to happen for us to be in business. But business development is the art and the skill set of being able to create that sale and that transaction, which we know there's so many other steps that go into it prior to that transaction happening, which primarily is the development of that relationship, right? Because ultimately, what we're looking to do is create relationships to open up opportunities that will eventually drive revenue, but they're not all equal, right? You're going to have more relationships than you have opportunities, and you're going to have more opportunities than actually just represent revenue. And so when you're in this mindset of I'm able to drive revenue by creating an unbelievable amount of opportunities, and from those opportunities there'll be more success than just revenue, makes the job fun. Right, but we get so caught up in what the revenue is, what the goal is, and driving transactions on a daily basis that that's how you fall into the behavior of everything that nobody wants in sales. Somebody who has commission breath, somebody who is pushing transactions down people's throats all day long. So, before we can dive into the process of what we're going to do or what we're going to learn and how we're going to execute driving relationships and opportunities and revenue, right? First thing we got to understand is who are we dealing with and what's the environment that we have going on right now in the selling world. This is a study from 3 years ago that McKinsey had put out in B2B sales. And some of the quotes are incredible. Today's buyers are more technically savvy, they're more digitally savvy, they're spending more time on their devices, and they want to engage on their time, not your time. It's very easy in people's personal lives to have access to information and to get what you want when you need it. People are bringing that same expectation into the business world. I'm going to stop for a second. Rob B, unmute yourself and just tell me what's some of the things that really jumped out at you in those quotes.
Um, Engaging on their time, not on your time. Um,
Bingo!
that's one of
The
the biggest ones.
biggest one, right? Is that people want to engage on their time, not yours. And almost anything we've ever been taught in sales about sales outreach is my time, not their time. I'm going to interrupt your day with a knock on the door. I'm going to interrupt your day with a phone call to your office. And I'm going to try to get you to operate when I want you to operate instead of when you. That already creating adversity for ourselves in today's buying environment, right? Anything else that jumped out at you?
I mean, the access to information, people can have anything they want at any time in this world right at their fingertips. It's all available. So how do we differentiate?
So is it fair to say that the sales game has drastically changed because of two primary fundamentals? Number one, you're no longer the gatekeeper to information, and you're no longer looked at as the only way for somebody to get that information or that service or that business or whatever it is that you represent. And number two, people aren't going to operate on your time anymore. Their expectation is that they're going to operate on their time, not yours. Massive change. Can we agree with that? Everybody in agreement? Huge, right? So here's just some statistics for you, right? 65% of consumers prefer remote human interactions or digital service compared to traditional ones. And when customers get what they want, they're willing to spend in excess of $500,000 or more without ever meeting somebody in person. Now I'm going to call on somebody else here. Let's go with Eric Bird. These stats, what jumps out at you?
Just how many people would rather prefer to not work with a salesperson up front to do their own analysis and data dig before they deal with you. But what
Huge.
it's not showing you is you still need somebody to take it home after they've done that research and be sensitive to what they've already done to begin with, because they already feel like they have the answer. We have to be considerate about what that answer looks like and then, passionately provide them different information that might steer them towards where we need them to be.
Huge. And what you were really hitting on right there was when customers get what they want, guys. This is what we have to be understanding is that it's not just about the solution and the price and the value, it's actually the entire dance that we do with them. When we meet with them on their time, not ours. When we're able to provide them information that they can consume when they want to, on their timeline, how they want to reduce friction and reduce obstacles. So we here get what they want. We immediately go to the solution. It's not just about the solution. It's about the entire process and the entire engagement that they have with you. Is it matching their expectations so that you can give them what they want? Now, traditional business has had sales and marketing on opposite ends of the house, and sales has been responsible for going out and calling and knocking and sending emails to get meetings, to get proposals and drive revenue. And marketing was responsible for providing that air cover, right? They were going to do advertising, they were going to do events, and their entire goal was to create awareness about the brand so that when salespeople showed up, they would consider them as an opportunity in order to drive revenue. Hmm? Anybody still feel like business still operates that way? Anybody? No, we're living in a different world. So we're still taking these old models and these old styles and trying to jam them into current business operations and current buyer behavior. It doesn't work. For sure, not the way that it used to. So, what does the modern business development funnel look like? Right? And this is now something that you can actually apply to your day to day. We live in an attention based economy. If you want people to buy from you, you have to be able to get their attention. Now, show of hands, or just think to yourself in your head, many of you enjoy being interrupted throughout your day with a call or a text or a direct message or a knock on the door. All of us enjoy that, right? So, immediately, not the way to engage with people, right? Not the way to get people's attention. So we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the buyer, of the consumer, of the customer, of the client, and say, what's that person looking for? How does that person want me to get their attention? How do I want people to get my attention? And from that attention, we want to drive engagement, meaning they take an action. They do something to start the dance with you. Far too often, we're chasing unengaged people. That's a waste of time. Not saying that you should give up after one touch. We're going to get to that. But chasing unengaged targets for months on end is a waste of time and energy. So, if from all the attention that you're trying to get, you're then dealing with the engaged people to only do one thing, which is to drive conversations. It was an excellent point that you brought up in terms of being able to do research, get information on your own, and then talk to somebody to help you drive it home, right? Conversations are the number one activity in business development because conversations offer you the opportunity to open up relationships. Now you start developing relationships and you have more conversations, you have the opportunity to open up opportunities. Those opportunities could be endless. Not saying just to sell somebody something, not just to create a transaction, but the opportunity to partner, the opportunity to refer, the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to share experience. There's limitless opportunities that can happen, right? And then from that, we have the chance to drive revenue. This is the funnel that you've got to be focused on every single day. You can put a metric next to every single part of this dance. How much attention did I get today? From that attention, how many people engaged? From that engagement, how many conversations did I convert? From those conversations, how many relationships have I opened? From those relationships, how many have opportunities? And from those opportunities, how many represent revenue? You can legitimately quantify every part of the process for yourself so that you're not just staring at your revenue number. You're not just staring at your pipeline. You actually know on a daily basis whether or not you're meeting the standard and matching the standard you need to have success. So, new world, right? Let's talk about some more about the new buyer, the new customer, the new people that we're engaging with. People are willing to pay up to 14 times more for those they consider to be elite experts. Organizations engaged in social selling are 40% more likely to hit revenue goals than non-social sellers. Leads obtained through employee social media convert 7 times more frequently than other leads. Christina, unmute yourself. What's your biggest takeaway from the slide?
Post more.
Why? Why would you post more?
Because and I will say this came directly from the Nudelberg family. As soon as I joined the AK team, our leadership made me know who the Nudelbergs were and the impact that social selling has, specifically with LinkedIn. And I was not using LinkedIn barely at all before I joined AK. And now I find so many opportunities to share what I'm doing. And so I'm sharing all the time. And with that, I'm getting conversations with great contacts because we share something in common. Maybe they have worked with the organization that I posted about. So it's definitely made a huge impact in the past couple of years.
Let me ask you a question, Christina.
Yeah.
Why would leads obtained through an employee's social media convert 7 times more frequently than other leads?
Um, I mean, I think it makes you it's a personal there in the day and age with so much technology and AI, you're a human, right? So right off the bat, you're going to stand out. They see who you are, they're getting to know you, your
That's it.
personality.
Stop right there.
Yeah,
They know you, right? The brand is just the brand. It's a logo. And sure, we do so much work to humanize it and make people feel something about it. But at the end of the day, it's just like we said earlier, at some point you're going to have a human walk you across the goal line or not,
right.
right? And if that human is going to do that, what's the fundamental truth that everybody has before they buy something from you? What are the 3 things that are true about somebody who does a transaction with you? They know you, like you, and trust you. Period. End of story. You're not buying anything from somebody you don't know. You're not buying anything from somebody you don't like. And you're most certainly not buying anything from somebody you don't trust. So when a lead comes through an individual social media, they already know you. You've already built your brand with them. They already trust you as a person. Now it's simply about whether or not you can actually solve the problem that they have and whether or not your solution is the actual fit for their organization. That is the truth behind all business development in today's world. Organizations who engage in social selling are 40% more likely to hit revenue goals than non-social sellers. Why? Because that's where people are. That's how they're engaging. That's how they're operating. Meet them where they are and play in their arena. 74% of Americans say they're more likely to trust someone who has an established personal brand. Three-quarters of America, guys. This isn't like a couple of people that you went to high school with or the crazy people who are using social media now, right? This is three-quarters of America trust people who have an established brand. Sales reps who use social media as part of their sales techniques outsell 78% of their peers, and over 75% of B2B buyers use social media to make purchasing decisions. This is the world we live in. This is not 20 years ago when Facebook just started and nobody knew about it. Reality is now there's over 3 billion smartphones in the world. And of those 3 billion smartphone users, you got people on their phone 2.5 hours a day on social media. That's average, guys. The average is 2.5 hours a day on social media. This is the world we live in. How, as business development professionals, are we leveraging that behavior to help us be successful? So, I talked to you about being a former college football coach. Here's something that was true about football that makes no sense to me about sales. In football, the plays you called were based on the situations you were in. Everything was situational, right? Coach Walsh, who led the 49ers and absolutely changed the football landscape, wrote a book, Finding the Winning Edge, and it's the coach's Bible. It breaks down how to situationally game plan the game and practice the game, which changed the way all football coaches operated after that, right? Yet in sales, nothing is situational. Prospecting is prospecting. You have the exact same scripts that you're given to everybody. You have your cold calling scripts. It's the same behavior despite who they are, what they know, what they do. Nothing is situational. And then you look at everything as either prospecting, qualifying, presenting, or closing. Period. End of story. That is the sales process that we've been trained to put people through. None of that's situational. And in reality, we're dealing with human beings that are all slightly different. Might not be completely different, but everybody you deal with, slightly different, which creates a slightly different situation. And so what we did in our process is go, great. What are the situations? What are the parts of the field that we need to be aware of so that we can call the correct plays based on where those people are? And so what we're going to do before we dive into all of the tactics is define the playing field for ourselves. Define the situations that we need to understand and then the behaviors that are associated with those situations, right? The plays, if you will, in a football mindset. And before I move on, any questions, anything that anybody wants me to hit on again before we jump into now defining this entire game plan? All good? Hands up. Anything for anybody? All good. Let's rock and roll. Love that. Okay, so the very first place that we're defining is the marketplace. And if you go back, let's just define where they are in terms of relative to scoring. We're working our way across the field from left to right. The marketplace would be people that aren't even on the field yet, meaning they're not even playing the game. Targets would be people that are the farthest from scoring, right? They're all the way on the other side of the field. The engaged people would be approaching the midline and almost there. The conversations would be across midfield and getting their way closer to the end zone. The pipeline would be the red zone, meaning you are right there and you are on the verge of getting a touchdown. And then obviously all of your revenue and all of your deals closed would be in the end zone. So let's define the marketplace. The marketplace is strictly and clearly and simply people who don't know you. Because if people don't know you, they can't like you. And if people can't like you, then they can't buy, then they can't trust you. And if they can't trust you, they can't do those three things, and they can't buy from you. So you have to look at the entire world and the entire marketplace as people who don't know me. And the goal is to get people who don't know me to engage with me. So, what are the behaviors that I need to do in order to do that? There's referrals. We've been offered social media and the opportunity to post things to a billion person universe to show up inside of their feeds. You have the opportunity to comment and engage with other people's posts that will expose you to people that don't know you. You can take the traditional route of going to events, expos, trade shows, industry events, right? Joining nonprofits, being a part of a nonprofit where you get to engage with people that you don't know on the board, on the committees, on the events, right? And then memberships to your basic, industry groups, your professional development groups, everybody who's a part of our community, get on the ball, right? They're meeting people that they don't know. And you're being offered an opportunity to connect in a very relevant way. But then you define the cadence for these behaviors. Some of these can be done every day. Some of these should be done weekly. Some of these should be done monthly. Some of these should be done quarterly. If I were to ask you, going to an event, in order to make that an efficient and effective behavior, how often should I be going to an event? Who's going to answer
Depend,
for me? Sean.
depends on how often they're holding it. It could be
That
monthly if it's like a chamber meeting or, membership or something like that.
so
It just,
great, great point, Eric, right? In order for us to define how often we should be going to it, we need to define why we're going to it, right? And so we have two criteria for events. One is that it exposes us to an audience, a new audience of people, right? Don't want to go to the same event every week, every day, over and over, right? Monthly, different. Quarterly, different. But I want to make sure that I'm getting in front of a new audience and that the content matches who we are, who I am. So when you're looking at all of the networking events that are possible out there, you go to the same networking event every single week, you go to the same BNI group every single week, starts to become less efficient and less effective for you. The more you know those people, the more you're having the same conversations, the more you're talking about the same things. We've all heard the term quit beating a dead horse, right? So we have to look at everything as what value is it bringing back to me and how efficient and effective is that behavior? As opposed to I post something on social media. If I do it every single day, am I going to hit some of the same people? Of course I am. Am I going to hit some new people? Absolutely I am. That's the way social media works. You don't know who you're going to end up in front of. So every day that I don't take the opportunity to post, I lose the chance to show up in front of an audience that I haven't been in front of before. So it's really important for us to understand that the marketplace are people that we don't know, and we've been offered all of these behaviors in order to get them to engage with us. And traditionally, we wear ourselves out going to in-person events when we miss the number one networking event that's happening every day, which is LinkedIn. And we're going to get to that in a moment. Then we get to targets. Now you're talking about people that are on the field. Now, most people confuse targets, we call it a top 25 list, with people that are already qualified. Look at how we define targets. People identified as a possible fit or COI. Why do I say possible fit and not fit? Sean, why was out as I'm looking at the marketplace, right? And I see somebody and I say, oh, they could be a fit as opposed to they are a fit. Why the difference in the language?
You probably haven't spent enough time with them to actually determine if
I
they would
don't
be.
know anything. I can't assume anything. And fit is based on much more than company size, revenue, number of employees, location, all the things that we use to qualify a target without actually having a conversation with them is irrelevant. Possible fit. Sure, they look like they could be the right fit, but in order for me to know whether or not they're a fit, I gotta have a conversation with them. And far too often, our target list are only people that we can do business directly with. I use the term COI. Debbie Hammer, what do you think COI stands for? COI,
I was actually going to ask you that question. I don't know.
Center of Influence, right? Referral targets, my referral network, right? All those people are people who are well equipped with the relationships in the marketplace. Period. End of story. I was fortunate to be born into a family with a massive COI sitting at the top of the family. Unbelievable relationship capital. If I don't know how to leverage that as a salesperson, it's a missed opportunity for me. If just because Steve Nudelberg can't buy directly from me, I don't have him targeted as a COI because of his relationship capital and who he can introduce me to, shame on me. That's my fault as a business development person in being too narrow in understanding the art of the game. And so now, same goal as people with the marketplace. When I have a list of targets, my only goal is to get them to engage with me. Go back to what that means. Take an action with me. So now the behaviors change. When you're a target, I'm going to do three things with you. I'm going to do my research to create personalization. I'm going to reach out to you in a way that's relevant to you, not to me. And I'm going to follow up with you until I get you to engage. Now, you can define your cadence for this behavior, right? Some people like 5 touches in a week. Some people like 3 touches in a week. Some people like 4 touches in a month. Everybody's cadence has to match number one, their business, number two, their schedule, and number three, their buyer. So for us, we like to go 1 touch every week. And after 4 touches or after 3 touches, that fourth touch, we're going to take the opportunity away. And all we're ever doing in that is selling the opportunity for a conversation. Are you open to having a conversation with me? And we're going to dive into that here in a few minutes. So, from my marketplace and my targets, now we get to the engaged people, which these are people who have taken an action either from the marketplace or from your target list. My only goal with them is to get them to a conversation, and the only behavior I have with them is to follow up. And if somebody has engaged with me, right? Whether it be through my social content, whether it be through our company's social content, whether it be from my targeted outreach to them, and I chase them for 3 weeks trying to get a conversation, and they won't have a conversation with me, guess what? Stop wasting my time. And I say something very simple to them. Seems like, feels like having a conversation is not a priority for you. That's okay. Invitation is always there. Let me know when your calendar opens up with 15 minutes. Simple, right? I'm not trying to sell you anything. All I want to do is have the conversation. And if I'm wasting my time chasing people that'll never have a conversation with me, I'm wasting my time chasing people that will never buy from me. I want to focus on the people who are willing to have a conversation with me, which if you engage, you've taken a step. Now I got to get you to say yes to that conversation. Now, conversations, the gold of business development. The more of these you have, the more opportunities you have. So the definition of a conversation is it's either calendared for me and scheduled to happen or has already taken place. And the goal of these conversations is to move people in and out of my pipeline. That's it, right? I'm going to make friends. I'm going to listen. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to provide value. I'm going to help. And while I'm doing this, as I'm having conversations and I'm listening to people and I'm asking good questions and I'm figuring out how I can provide value and I'm finding opportunities, the right people will move into my pipeline. I'll develop an unbelievable amount of relationship capital and I will find more success just by doing that. Now, the cadence for this, right? How long does it take from the first virtual coffee to the time somebody moves in or out of your pipeline? As long as it takes, guys. Could be one conversation, could be 100 conversations. What's the difference? This is the behavior. This is the gold. And the more of these you're having, it is a direct correlation to the more success you're having. So if you are focused on anything other than your conversations on your calendar, you're missing the actual behavior that drives success. Now, we talk about the process because once you have conversations, you're moving to pipeline. And once you have pipeline, that's all selling behavior. Everything from there is presenting the right opportunities, right? Creating the right customized proposals for people, which is not hard, guys, right? We spend so much time talking about how to present and close. It's the easiest part of sales. The hardest part of sales is earning the trust and respect of people that they'll do transactions with you. So the process has to be focused on absolutely focusing on the behaviors that lead to the pipeline development. Because then it's easy. People are saying yes or not. Go ahead, Dad.
I just think it's important to understand that not everybody's going to want your solution. So it's okay. You can have a conversation with those people, and that's still a win. It's just identifying the fact of whether they are a candidate for what you do or not. Someone says to us, "Hey, man, we're great. We're business is flying and process is in gear. Fantastic. Good for you. Great. That's fantastic. There's nothing, wrong with that. So that's part of what I call shucking oysters. You're just going to go through them until you find the pearls. You're going to find people who are struggling with whatever your solution is. That's what the job is to continue to develop those relationships until you find people who have a problem that matches your solution. Wow, there's no selling there. It's opportunity creation.
Bingo. So let's talk about the process now. What do I need to do on a daily basis, and what are the steps to take people through this entire journey from marketplace all the way to pipeline? First thing is building a top 25. That top 25 are the targets that we talked about, possible fits and COIs. Who's my list of people that I need to have a virtual coffee with? I need to have a conversation with because I have to offer myself the opportunity to build a relationship with them. The very next thing I do is research. I'm researching two things: where the best place to get somebody is. Chris, why would, when I'm researching, would I want to figure out where the best place to get somebody is?
because it's familiar to them. Like you said, it's their time.
Their time, their arena, the way they want to engage. It's not about me. I like to get on the phone. Nobody cares what you like. It's about them. It's not about you. I like to use email. Nobody cares, right? It is about serving everybody else and engaging with them in the way they want to. So I'm going to do research to figure out where the best place to get them is and then what that commonality is that we have. This is a relevant point of interest. Could be the same school that we went to, could have been the same conference that our schools were in, could have been the same place that we lived, could have been a trip that we took, could be absolutely anything that has nothing to do with their business or what they do and how they do it, and has everything to do with how you two can connect on as people. Because we all think that it's about solving the problem and our solution fitting their problem, and it's not. It's about us being a fit as people. And if that's true, then maybe you have the opportunity to be able to solve a problem for them. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So once I have my top 25 and I do my research for the best place to get them and what the commonality is, then I reach out, right? Great song. I reach out to these people, not to say, hey, I want to sell you this thing, but to say, hey, I noticed you, and here's what we have in common, and I'd love the opportunity to grab virtual coffee with you. My language is if you have 15 minutes on your calendar over the next few weeks, I'd love to grab virtual coffee. That is on repeat for me. If you have 15 minutes on your calendar over the next few weeks, I'd love to grab virtual coffee with you. Somebody's not willing to give me 15 minutes over the next few weeks, they're never going to, number one, have a conversation with me. Number two, build a relationship with me. Number three, have opportunity with me. It's the reality. Somebody's not willing to spend 15 minutes with you, they're not willing to do anything else with you. Don't waste your time. So it's not a silver bullet. Just because I did my research and just because I reached out where they wanted me to reach out, and just because I was super personalized and direct to them, doesn't mean it's a silver bullet and it's going to work the first time every time. So I got to follow up. I'm going to follow up on that in my cadence. For us, 4 touches in 4 weeks. For somebody else, it's a different cadence, but stay disciplined to your cadence to get them to the virtual coffee. And now you've got your library of conversations. Now you've got your schedule filled with conversations. That's the process, guys. Build a target list, do your research, reach out, follow up, get people to the conversation. If you do that all day, every day for 90 days, you will be unrecognizable next year. You will be different than anybody else in your organization, and you will be having more fun than you've ever had in your position because you're not selling anything. You're doing what feels good, which is personalization with people, connecting with people, and learning about people. There is nothing hard about that. That is the enjoyable behavior that we should be focused on doing that leads us to opportunities. So, when we build a top 25, what does a top 25 look like? Right? What are we looking for? What are the things that separate us? Well, we know, right? Ideal client profiles. What industries do we do well in? What company sizes do we do well in? What locations are we focused on? What roles are the people that I need to be talking to? Now, this is where people get way too niche, right? I need to be talking strictly to the CEO, or I need to be strictly talking to the director of human resources, or I need to be talking to the operations manager. Why? We need to be talking to business leaders because business leaders know other business leaders. And whether or not they make the decision in the organization or not, they know the people who do. And they're going to have the opportunity to be our flag carrier, to be our friend and our relationship inside of an organization that helps lead us to success. And the more of those you have, the better. We have a term called relationship mapping, where we'll put an organization on the board and go, great, let's figure out everybody in that organization that's a possible friendly for us. Who's a friend? Who's a relationship? Who do we know that either works inside that building or we have something in common with? Or who do we know that knows somebody that works inside that building or that organization? How do we get there? How do we get to these people? That's our map of relationships that's going to help drive success for that one opportunity. Now, as I do the research on those people, right, what am I looking for? The colleges they went to. Alumni marketing is the number one way to attack somebody's heart. 99% of people have a strong affiliation with where they went to school. If you can leverage that in your outreach to them in a relevant way, look at the way you stand out compared to everybody else. But let's say school's not it, right? What other interests do they have? What what influencers do they follow? What business leaders do they follow? What nonprofits are they a
There
part of?
you go.
What
Good.
organizations do they work with? What do they care about? Because if you can tap into the thing they care about in a relevant way, you immediately offered yourself an opportunity to build a relationship with them. So now you've got a top 25 list. That's a simple Google spreadsheet. You don't have to have a complicated CRM in order to manage it. Literally 25 names with the company, the commonality, where you're at with them, and what the opportunity is. And on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, you are working yourself through this top 25. Now we reach out, right? So this is the most important behavior because everybody in here agrees that they're not the same as their competitor, right? Everybody said, well, we're not like our competition. We do things differently here at fill in the blank organization. And then you look at everybody's sales process, it looks exactly the same way. Their outreach sounds the same, outreach looks the same, they're doing the exact same things. If you are different than other people, you have to show up differently than other people. You have an unbelievable opportunity to leverage social media. You see the way that that works for organizations. That's different than what everybody else is doing. We teach people how to use video embedded inside of email, embedded inside of your outreach to change the way you show up. So let's just talk about that. How we're showing up has to be different. Where and the tools we're using. Then what you say has to be different. When you immediately reference the commonality and you make your outreach all about them and you have no I statements and you have all you statements in there, and all you're asking for is a virtual coffee, not to tell them about how you solve the problem for this organization that looks exactly like they do, you immediately stand out from everybody else in the crowd. So use different tools based on what they want, not what you want. Leverage commonalities, make the outreach about them, and ask for nothing other than a virtual coffee. 15 minutes over your calendar to meet virtually, to grab virtual coffee. You have to make the language match for you. Then you got to follow up. Not a silver bullet, right? Not going to work the first time you do it every time, right? Pipe Drive and Sales Genie put out a study that said it takes an average of 5 follow-up attempts to close 80% of sales. Now, I will tell you, a lot of the sales statistics that are out there suck because the tactics suck. They're teaching transactional behaviors. They're teaching you to show up with product, price, and service and qualify and talk about business when no consumer wants that. No person wants that. So you could probably drastically increase your sales statistics if you really just focused on being personalized and being human throughout the entire process. But you have to follow up. So, how do you follow up? What does good follow up look like and sound like? Number one, showing up differently. Don't fall into the pattern of just following up and sounding like everybody else, right? Leverage the tools, leverage GIFs, leverage video, leverage information that's out there to provide value. And then be clear about what you're following up on. If I sent you a video as an outreach that said, hey, Christina, tough year for the Knowles. We're struggling. It's hard. I'm sure you're battling it like I am. Would love the opportunity to commiserate with you. Right? First,
Yeah.
start smiling and laughing immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Number two, right? I'm going to follow up on that. If I don't get a response, if I don't get any action back, I'm going to go back and say, Christina, did you get a chance to watch the video that I sent to you? I'd love to grab 15 minutes virtually to commiserate about the Knowles. I'm clear about my intentions. I'm not here to sell you something. I'm here to have a 15-minute conversation. Why do I keep harping on telling our behavior showing people that we're not there to sell something? Why am I so strong on that? Because it's the number one objection that everybody has that they're not going to tell you. As soon as you show up in somebody's inbox, in somebody's DMs, in somebody's phone, they're going to immediately go, you're here to sell me something. They're not going to tell you that, but they're going to think that in their head. And as soon as your behavior proves them right, you're done. Relationship capital is burned. So everything you do has to overcome that objection without saying it explicitly. So being very clear in my follow-up. Here is what I'm trying to do and what value can I provide in that? Hey, saw a funny video about the Knowles, thought you would enjoy it. Hey, read a great article that pertained to something that I saw you guys are doing here. I was at the JA Impact Breakfast and they spoke specifically about dealing with this high school. I know that's in your neighborhood, right? How can I provide value in that follow up to get them to engage? Remember, the key in this is getting them to engage. They don't get engaged, they're never going to have a conversation with you. So stop trying to go from A to Z and go, what am I doing in this to get them to engage with me? Because if I can get them to engage, then I have the opportunity to get them to a virtual coffee, which bam, virtual coffee. Now we have a training module inside of our academy that teaches you how to run this 15-minute conversation to help you. But essentially, we're focused on these 4 outcomes. Can we be friends? Can we be friends and possibly talk about business? Can we be friends, talk about business, and will you give me a problem to solve? Right? Or friends, business, problem, none of that happens. It's the worst conversation that you've ever had, and you never have to do it again. It was 15 minutes. Hey, Eric, thanks. Appreciate you taking the time. Let me know if I can ever do anything for you. See you later. And you hit X on the button and you're done. You didn't have to drive anywhere. You didn't have to go anywhere. You have to buy them coffee. You didn't have to wait. You have to reschedule. Nothing. Took you 15 minutes to qualify them as not a fit because you can't fit as people, right? So that's really the key here. And so we're just looking to stack yeses. Can we be friends? Yes, we can. Great. Have I earned the right to talk business then? Did I invest enough in the relationship up front in that person to earn the right to talk business with them? If I have, will they give me a problem to solve? There's no guarantee that the problem you have in your business is the problem we can solve for you. But I might be able to introduce you to somebody who can solve that problem. Or I might be able to offer you a piece of information that can help you solve that problem. There's lots of ways that I can provide value without having to sell you our services. So if I'm focused on building the relationship, earning the right to talk business, and solving whatever problems are right for them, the likelihood that we do business together is exponentially higher than if I show up asking specifically about who does your commercial cleaning? Who's your janitor group? What's the experience been like with them? You sound like everybody else. You're immediately pushing them into selling them what you want to sell them. It's not about you, it's about them. So if I invest in earning that relationship and then earning the right to talk business, opportunity will present itself at the right time. Now we got to get through the tools because there's two specific tools that you need to understand how to leverage, which again, we teach in depth inside of our platform. First one is LinkedIn. Everybody has LinkedIn confused and misunderstood. This is directly from LinkedIn, the company. Their mission is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. If that's what the company was built to do, then the way you operate with that company and that platform should match that. How are you looking to connect the world's professionals? How are you looking to help make them more productive and successful? Give, 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 give. You need to be showing up to this platform. And what is this platform? It's a 24-hour networking event. It's legitimately a billion people, a billion business professionals that are giving you all the information you need to be able to connect with them as a person. Yet all you see everybody doing is spamming everybody through their InMail. Mass selling, mass targeting, right? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants that. If you actually looked at it as everybody was there in person with you and they were giving you information on where they went to school, what nonprofits they were a part of, where they've worked throughout their career, the people they know, you would leverage all of that to have a conversation with them. And that's the way you would approach them. Is, hey, Sean, I see you know XYZ. They're a good friend of mine. Would love the opportunity to connect. How many connection requests did you receive like that today? Zero, unless they were trained by us.
Right.
It's the reality. So you have to understand what your opportunity is inside of the platform. You have the opportunity to learn, you have the opportunity to build relationships, and you have the opportunity to build your reputation. How you go about doing that every day cannot be done in this one modern business development webinar, but it is something that we teach inside of our LinkedIn training. And the three things you have to know how to do are optimize your profile, share content consistently, meaning every day, and connect with people the right way. If you focused on doing those three things, understanding how to have your profile set up, understanding how to share on a consistent basis, and understand how to connect with people in a personal way inside of the platform, you'll turn it into the number one business development tool you've ever used. And for those of you that are a part of the community that haven't dove into that training yet, you need to make sure that you get into it so you can ask the questions. A compelling 84% of decision makers start their purchasing process with a referral and 90% trust recommendations from the network. This tool offers you the opportunity to pull out your referrals, to build recommendations directly through the platform, and build your personal brand. There's no reason that if you were in a revenue driving position, you shouldn't be using that tool to help you be successful. And there's a ton of examples here, but I want to make sure we get through video and I don't want to go too over time. What is video? right? Why does video work? And I'm not even going to go through this. Let's stop share real quick because I want to have the opportunity to talk to everybody. Video is a communication tool. Let's just be clear on what that is. Right now, we're on a video tool. The difference between this and Vidyard or BombBomb or Loom or any of the other video services is that this is synchronous, meaning happening at the same time, and those other tools are asynchronous. So I can create a video that I drop inside of an email, drop inside of a text message, drop inside of a DM that will play when you want it to play, not when I want it to play. Why is that so significant? Because it allows me to get in front of you when you want, not when I want. And ultimately, that's all we're trying to get is face-to-face time with people. Because if I get face-to-face with you, it's exponentially more harder for you to say no to me. But I can pass my emotion, I can pass my energy, I can pass all the things that I know are going to help me win in person, except I can do it digitally and I can have you consume it when you want, not when I want. So we teach video in the prospecting phase through the introduction and getting virtual coffees, in follow up, in presenting proposals, in pipeline management, and doing it throughout the entire sales process. It's a tool that can be leveraged in every single part, but you apply the same philosophy in the same process. It's just a tactic, right? But if you use that tactic without personalization, without research, without making it work for you, it's worthless. And just by show of hands, how many of you received a personalized video today, either through DM, through email, or through text? Rob did. Mike got one. Great. So we got two, right? I can tell you the larger the audience, same numbers. Maybe one, maybe two people get it. The reality is there's far less people actually leveraging it, and the ones that are still aren't leveraging it correctly. Most of them are using it. Like I got one the other day that was like, "Hey Mark, I checked out On the Ball's website and they had my website in the background, and they were like, I found a ton of opportunity that we could help you optimize your website. Thank you, no thank you." You showed up like everybody else. Use the tool where you could have connected with me personally and built a human connection right there, and instead you chose to sell me. No thanks. So it's not just about using the tool, it's about understanding how to use the tool, which is what we teach. So question for everybody, right? How can I help? What questions do you have? Anything I can answer for you? I'm willing to stay here for the next 20 minutes. Let me know. Let's open up the mics. You're muting. Dad, you're muted.
You and I have a 1 o'clock.
Correct. That's why I can go for the next 20.
Cool.
I
Awesome.
appreciate it, guys. It was a good presentation. I like the content. I know personally I can definitely use video a lot more, and I think it'll be something that'll differentiate, especially in our industry, because you just don't see it happen. But I do have to head out for a meeting, but I just wanted to thank you again, man. I appreciate it, Mark.
Awesome. Rob, if you're interested in getting involved, there's unique discounts specifically for Chris putting this event together. Just grab one of those QR codes, come back to it later, or just follow up with us through the email, and we're happy to have the conversation with you. And that's for everybody here, right? If there's great information here, you know you need to grow, you know you need to learn the actual tactics of it. All you have to do, scan the QR code. There's an annual membership with all of it up front. There's a monthly membership with a monthly payment. It renews every year. You get all the information on what you get is on those pages. All you have to do is scan the QR code. Very easy for you guys. I'm going to pull this back down. I can pop it back up if anybody needs it, but I just want to make this time valuable for you guys to answer questions and do what we need to do. Rob, thanks for joining us. Who else has
Mark,
questions?
Mark, this
Yes.
is Josue. Can you hear me?
Yes, got you loud and clear.
Listen, you guys are amazing. I've worked with you in the past. I'm still working with you. I will continue to work with you. I got to run to another meeting.
Thanks,
Peace.
Josue. Great to see you. Art, did I see your hand go up? Did you have something you wanted to ask?
No,
Okay.
not at all. It's been eye-opening. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the feedback.
Hey, Mark, I know you mentioned a couple different video systems that you can use. You mentioned like two or three of them. What's your favorite one?
Vidyard is the one that we use. Vidyard.
And why is that your favorite one?
It's the one that we've used the longest, the one that we know the best. We have a relationship with them at the very top with the CEO, but it does everything we need it to do. From an enterprise level, from an individual user, it's very simple, it's very clean. It integrates with Google Chrome and your phone, so it's very, very user friendly. At one point, I think they still do actually, it integrates with LinkedIn directly, so you can use it directly through the platform. So there's a lot of advantages to that over others, but I would never say it's one that you have to use. If there's one that you feel like fits you better, have at it.
Okay. And another question I have for you is all of these things are great like building blocks. How do you overcome the challenges that maybe you're working with others that don't see those always necessary? And to ensure that when you're making this transition of trying to build this, that you don't get the pushback.
Education, right? So control what you can control is a huge part of it, right? I can't make you do something you don't want to do. So number one is, which is what I did in the beginning to everybody in the Zoom, was create the gap, right? Here's what we know and what we've been doing. Here's what's true about today's world. There's a problem there. There's a disconnect. Does everybody agree that there's a disconnect? Because if there is, then I can help you see something else. But if you feel like what you've been doing for the last 30 years is still working and you don't have any problems, there's nothing we can do to help you, right? So part of it is helping people understand that there is a problem that needs to be addressed. And when they then understand that, here's some tools. And then it's about giving them the resources they need to be able to execute on it, right? Like I gave you guys the structure of what to do, the ins and out of LinkedIn, the ins and out of video, and how to do it tactically is far more. We'd be here for hours if I tried to teach all of that to you in one webinar. So that's where if you can go do it on your own, great, but we're here to help you help provide the resources to you if you need it.
Thank you.
You got it. Any other questions? Any other feedback? Awesome, guys. Thank you for a wonderful afternoon. We are here to help. If we can do anything, don't hesitate to reach out. And if you need that QR code again, I'll pop it up so that you have it. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.